Alright, today we're going to have our first topic. And our first topic is units. Now, units are very important for physics, and they're very important for a lot of things, English and history, because we need units for communication. If you were to see somebody and, have to describe how tall they were, you'd have to describe in units, or if you had to describe how old somebody was, you'd have to once again give the units. That baby is 2 weeks old, that man might be 20 years old. The other thing we have units for is for calculations. That's very important for physics, because in physics we're going to be doing a lot of calculations. Now don't worry, it's mainly algebra and trig based, and we'll try to help you with these videos get through those. So we have these calculations. It is incredibly important that all scientists and physics students use the same units. If you have to multiply a height of an object by 2 and you're using meters, you'll get a very different answer than if somebody else decided to use feet. So scientists around the world, we'll just draw the world, they often collaborate. They work together. And a scientist in maybe China might find some data, and he's like, oh, I've just found this very interesting data. So he puts it out there, he communicates it to the world. He's like, I found this data. Will somebody help me analyze it? And a British scientist might say, okay, I'll help you out. But the main thing they need is a shared system of units. And the scientific community does have that. It's called the SI units. And that's international standard. And what it allows all scientists to communicate their findings and their data in a shared unit that will, allow for easier communication. And we've already seen some of these units. These are your kilograms, your meters, and your seconds. Those are the first 3. And we're going to take these and we're going to make some new ones and we're going to add to them. And you'll see, but most of these 3 things are the fundamentals. They're the building blocks for all of our units this year. Okay. Enough with the theoretical. Let's get into the practical. So let's say that you have some quarters. Let's say you in fact have 9 quarters. Now, most stores around New York City don't list their prices in quarters though. They list their prices in dollars. So you'll have to convert this to dollars. So let's say you're going to want to try to go buy a $2 bagel, but you don't know if you have enough money to buy the $2 bagel. Now I know I'm being a little coy, I'm acting like we don't know, but we all know that you have clearly $2 and a quarter of change, but let's imagine we don't know. So what we need to do is we need to use a nice method to convert between units. And I have that method, and I prefer to use the want over have. And now this is a fraction we're going to use to convert between units. Now one thing to notice, this is want over have. It makes a nice fraction, but we have to first set up what is the want and what is the have. Now we've said here though, this is what we have, this is what we want. Okay, I know it's being a little rough, but let's move on. So we have quarters. Now how many quarters is $1? We all know this from elementary school or our parents, that 4 quarters equals $1. So 4 quarters is $1. Now once again we have quarters, that's going to go here on our fraction, and what we want is dollars, so this value is going to go there on our fraction. So let's rewrite our fraction. We're going to have 1, and I'm going to abbreviate dollars, and then we're going to have this. Now we have 4 quarters. And there's when we'll close off my fraction. Now, what are we going to do with this fraction? Well, what we are going to do is we are going to take our 9 quarters and we're going to multiply it by this fraction. Okay, now one of the first interesting things to note is that when we multiply these, our units will behave a lot like what you've seen variables behave like. Let's scroll this up just a little bit. Oh, wrong way. So what we will see is this. We will see that we have 9 times 1 divided by 4. We'll get 9/4, and we're going to get dollars, quarters, divided by quarters. Now, many of you math whizzes will be quick to point out that these units will cancel out, and we can also simplify our stuff. So these cancel out. You'll be left with 9/4 dollars, and a lot of you guys will say that that's 2 1/4 or $2.5. Now we have to remember, in this class specifically, all of our numbers have to have units on them. So numbers must have units. There will only be a couple places where they do not. And we also will see that we want to use this want over have method. I'll have another video in a second to show a more difficult problem. Okay.